Hi, my name is Chantal Mayer Crittenden. This video will be about language awareness and how it can help children learn languages. What is language awareness? It's an individual's awareness of how language works as a system and how language as a social construct is used in society. Language awareness is the third component to the two essential elements of minority language acquisition mentioned in the introductory video, vocabulary and language awareness. What do we mean by system? Well, the system of a language is composed of its form, content, and use. The form of a language refers to its phonology or the sounds of a language, its morphology, the smallest unit of a language that has meaning, and its syntax, the order of words in a sentence. Content implies word meaning or semantics, and usage implies pragmatics, or language as a social construct, meaning the social rules of a community or culture. It is very much like a multiplication. Vocabulary multiplied by raising awareness, multiplied by language awareness, equals adequate academic language skills. Like any multiplication, if any one of these elements is equal to 0, then the academic language skills will not be adequate. So students will have difficulty using language to reason, write, estimate, reflect, make arguments, make inferences, write opinion texts, etc. According to Cummings, there are two levels of language skills in second language acquisition: basic interpersonal communication skills and cognitive academic language skills. Basic interpersonal communication skills develop fairly easily in children. These skills allow children to converse with friends, to satisfy their basic needs such as asking for something to drink, going to the bathroom, even asking for glue. Cognitive academic language skills, on the other hand, require a slightly more sustained effort on behalf of the child and the parents in their environment. These are the skills that allow children to synthesize a text, to analyze the components of a word, a sentence, a short text, a complex directive, etc. These are the skills that allow children to reason aloud, write an opinion piece, argue, understand the various meanings of words, predict, make inferences, understand abstract and figurative language, and more. In an ideal context, that is, a linguistic context in which the child receives sufficient input in the target language, basic interpersonal communication skills still develop quite well during the first 18 to 24 months of life. According to a study conducted in France, English-speaking children from the British Isles who began to be exposed to French for the first time after the age of 4 were able to master the language after an average of 3 to 5 years of exposure to the language. However, recent Franco-Ontarian studies in a minority language context do not show the same results. In a minority language context, it takes us more years to master the language. According to the study conducted in France, more exposure time is necessary for children to adequately learn morphosyntax, so we have to think about what that means in a minority context as well. Knowing that exposure to language is a challenge in minority language contexts, it is therefore important to build on language awareness and explicitly teach certain morphosyntactic concepts. Here, a distinction is made between knowledge and awareness. A child can know the structure of a sentence, "the dog is eating," without being aware of the rules that govern it. We want to encourage students to think about language as a system. Encourage students to think about language use, not just school language, but other languages as well. Choose instructional activities that focus on languages, the system, as the focus, and we want to trigger students' implicit knowledge and bring them to a level of awareness about the similarities and differences between the languages around them. We also want to encourage students to consciously reflect on how linguistic diversity manifests itself and is experienced by society. But to do this, adults first need to understand what spoken language is. What is oral language? Oral language is a complex and dynamic system that relies on the use of symbols to communicate thoughts and express oneself orally. This system is governed by rules concerning meaning, which is semantics, structure and form, phonology, morphology, and syntax, and contextualized use, or pragmatics. Meaning, structure, and use of language are not separate entities. They weave together simultaneously in discourse, such as a conversation, a narrative, or a description. Bringing children from a knowledge of words and sentences to an awareness of words, sentences, and how languages are formed provides them with the essential tools for their academic and vocational journeys as bilinguals. This awareness of languages is done quite well through children's books or novels. The Paper Bag Princess by Robert Munsch is a great example. It is also available in French and English, so let's take a peek at it. This children's book deals with complex concepts such as prejudice, freedom, stereotype. The story actually reverses the stereotype of the dragon and the princess, feminism, feminist, resilient, resilience, narcissism, narcissist, the medieval era. So it's important to teach the concepts that aren't necessarily read in the book, but are essential for a good understanding and awareness of these concepts. Children love to play detective by learning the origin of words, so we can teach the etymology of words like prejudice. This word comes from the Latin words prae and judicium. By teaching these words, we bring this level of awareness to children of how languages work. Prae means in advance, and judicium means judgment. So here, we want to see if children are able to reflect on this. Is the word prejudice something positive, or is it something negative? According to Quigley, exploring etymology can add a layer of understanding that helps emergent language learners become familiar with a tricky academic term that might have remained abstract and unfathomable to them. We can also weave in connections to other languages that they may already know. We also want to explain that languages have a certain morphology, an inflectional and a derivational morphology. The inflectional morphology changes the word, but it gives it the same meaning. The category doesn't change, so the verb will remain a verb, whereas derivational morphology gives a new word. You can change the word from a noun to an adjective, or from a noun to a verb, etc. In the book, The Paper Bag Princess, the prince is a narcissist. We can use etymology and derivational morphology to explain this word. We know that Narcisse is a Greek character with a great love of self and who is not very nice to others. We also know that when we add the suffix ism to a root word, it transforms it to form nouns that correspond to a quality, a behavior, a particularity. So we can find all kinds of words that end with ism. For example, professionalism, environmentalism, etc. Earlier, we talked about the etymology of the word prejudice. Now, we can talk about the inflectional morphology of the word prejudice, or prejudging. Explaining how by adding or changing the ending, we can change the verb tense is important. It's still a verb, prejudging, but here we take the root of the word, or the morphemes prejudge, and we add ing to change the verb tense. Therefore, prejudge plus a suffix changes the verb tense, but it doesn't change the meaning. It's still the word prejudge. And we can do the same thing in other languages. French, for example, préjuge, and then we add the suffix et, préjugé. We've helped students to have some awareness of word etymology, derivational and inflectional morphology, but we also want them to have a good knowledge of word meaning. We can encourage them to have vocabulary journals. This has been covered in previous clips. Let's take, for example, the word feminism, because in the book, The Paper Bag Princess, the princess herself is a feminist. Here we can say that the word feminism means the importance of girls and women in society. We can give examples like Wonder Woman, Paper Bag Princess, Kim Possible, Mulan. Non-examples can even be given, such as machismo. Students can be asked to make a picture or write a sentence, because we really want them to take ownership of the term. For example, Wonder Woman is a character who represents feminism. With a children's book, we can do language awareness. We can become aware of cognate words, so feminism and féminisme in French, narcissism and narcissisme. We can also work on awareness of metaphors. So for example, the dragon is supposed to be something strong, but in this case, it's the opposite. It's actually really weak. The princess, well, she's a feminist. We can also introduce awareness of the etymology of words, the awareness of morphology. We can practice a lot of types of awarenesses so that children can understand how languages actually work. For older children, you can do a similar activity. For example, we could choose the book The Little Prince by Antoine de Saint-Exupéry. This book has been translated into 361 languages. Books available in different languages help us understand how languages work, how they differ, how they are similar. We can see if maybe there are root words that are similar, roots of the words that come from Latin, Greek, for example. You can really use these books to work, again, on etymology, morphology, semantics, etc. The important thing here is to teach terms that are not necessarily encountered in the book. So we want to teach concepts like prejudice, narcissism, depression, grief, society, materialism, specialization, alcoholism, probity, hallucinations, World War era. In order for the children to really understand the book or what the author is trying to convey, there are so many concepts that are evoked that are not necessarily taught, and even then, they can be taught while doing an in-depth study of the language to allow children to attain a certain level of language awareness. We also want to address syntax, the order of words in a sentence. This can be done through fun activities. Here's one that comes from the resource Oral Language at Your Fingertips, called Fixing the Morning Errors. We can take a sentence from the book The Little Prince and make an error on purpose. Example, grown-ups, to be sure, will believe not you. Here we want the students to find the error. After some time of reflection, the students will discover that it is the word not that's in the wrong place, the negation. The essential thing here, and for all the activities and all the stages of language awareness, is that it is the students who find the errors, who do the work, so that they become aware of them. For more advanced students, we can also look at the small parts of the sentence. The subject, the grown-ups, the predicate, will not believe you, and the modifier, to be sure. We can show that the modifier can move. So there are lots of things we can do to show them how the syntax of languages work. Since this book has been translated into several languages, we can also look at similar sentences in other languages spoken by the students in the classroom. Children love to play detective. It's exciting for them. It's important to not only teach content in the target language, but to teach how languages work. This is especially important, as I mentioned, for children who are bilingual, and especially those who are learning a minority language. In summary, we want to teach children to have an awareness of the language system, form, content, and use. We also want them to teach about how it's constructed socially, so how we use languages and make links between spoken languages. In our case, French, English, and it could be other languages as well, Arabic, Mandarin, and more. It is very important to do this. To conclude, let's take a look at our multiplication. To develop and maintain good academic language skills, one must have a good vocabulary, be aware of the issues involved in teaching or acquiring a minority language, and have a good awareness of how languages work. This video focused on language awareness. I invite you to watch the other videos on my YouTube channel that address vocabulary and raising awareness of minority languages. Thank you again for watching. The information provided in this video comes mostly from the book Closing the Vocabulary Gap, Mind the Gap by Alice Quigley, and the book or educational resource Oral Language at Your Fingertips.